I was a prison guard for 23 years at the United States Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, and this is a part of my story. I was asked, who's the toughest, strongest prisoner that you ever met in all those 23 years? There's really no one answer to that. I've met many tough, strong prisoners, and different ways too. There's mentally strong and there's physically strong. I can tell you what I think he meant. He meant a guy named Green. Green, he was assigned a dog unit. And Green, he's just kind of an asshole. He don't like anything that I tell him. He'll ask me a question, and if he doesn't like the truth, then he gets all upset about it. So that's just kind of the way he is. One night, him and his buddies, the other ABs or racist guys or whatever, he's in one of them organizations, or at least he's associating with them. I don't know if he was an AB or not. Decided to get all drunk, and so they start to fighting in the back on dog range of dog unit. Oh, and they're still working on my house right here. That's what you see. I'm in this small banana republic, and that's what you hear is them working on my house in the background. They start a hell of a row. Lieutenant shows up with the L8. Green has gone berserk. I see a fella that I know personally that could put a serious hurting on people. Take a 36-inch long riot baton, pull it back like a Louisville Slugger, and hit this Green fellow just as hard as he can. Snaps the riot baton. Doesn't even faze Green. They shoot him with the L8. That don't seem to do much good with the sting balls, or these little balls about like that made of hard rubber. And that don't seem to do much good. And I don't know how it happens, but he ends up getting shot once in the crotch. And we didn't know it at the time, but later he was going to need an operation to remove one of his testicles. He was injured that bad. He's still coming down the range. A lady that I know who's a bit diminutive, but she has the heart of a lion. She gets in his way, and he runs over her like a steamroller would run over a kitten. Just runs her down. And he keeps coming. Well, several other officers attempt to strike him. He finally gets up near the front of the range where I happen to be located. I'm going to try to poke him, but there's so many officers in the way that I'm afraid to do that. So he gets past me, and I start hitting him in the back of the head with the riot baton as hard as I can. Doesn't seem to do much other than put big gouges in his head, and blood's starting to just pour out of it. So I figure that maybe I can choke him into submission. I put a stick over him. We do a Japanese stranglehold where I can really apply the pressure to his throat. And he was crouched when I did that, and he stood up to his full height, which was 6'5" or more. And I'm 5'9", so my feet come off the ground. And I'm suspended in the air, hanging from this guy's back. So I put my knees onto his hips so I can ride him better. And about that time, the captain, I think, strikes him in the forehead, like a blow like this with a ball into the guy's forehead, and he falls backwards onto me. I'm lying there on the ground, strangling him for all I'm worth. One of the officers tells me to stop. Well, I'm not sure that he's unconscious yet, so I don't stop, and it concerns the officer. He's afraid that I'm going to unnecessarily injure Green. So he takes the flat of his hand and says, "I'm telling you to stop." Bam! And hits me a really good blow. He later told me that that was only about 50% of what he's capable of. Felt like a full blow to me. And then he says, "If you don't stop, I'm going to hit you again. Except I'm not going to be nice the second time." And I thought, wow, he wasn't nice. If he was nice the first time, I'd hate to see it when it ain't nice. So I decided to stop choking Green. They rolled him over and put handcuffs on him, and they took him to the hospital. He ended up having to have one of his testicles removed, all kinds of stitches and things in his head. He was shot really close range with the sting balls, so that did some injuries. He told me the next day he felt like he was dead, but gonna die. But you know, that night he was still pretty lively when they took him to the hospital. There was a bunch of other people that were injured in that too. And during this whole thing, I'll tell you about the one incident that I only ever witnessed one time, the whole time I was at USP Marion, of cowardness. There was a girl, she came out onto the range with everybody else, and the whole fight, people were being injured, inmates were throwing things, all kinds of stuff. Not the worst fight I've ever been in, but in the top 10. And the whole time she stood there with her arms folded. At one point, while I was fighting another inmate, I asked for her for assistance. And she said, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, I want you to hit someone. And she just stood there with her arms folded the whole time, just looking around. She was actually more in the way and a hindrance than she was of any assistance. It wasn't long after that she quit. Because, one, she's a coward. And two, maybe she realized that she was a coward. You know, this job isn't for everybody. And maybe she finally realized it. Well, that, I hope, answers at least one story about one of the toughest inmates I've known. There's several more, and we'll get to talking about those too. But at least Green is one that really stuck out in my mind. And in that time, he really... he excelled at being a real pain in the butt. He damn near got off the range. If he would have got off the range, he would have been in the area that the lockbox is. If he could have opened up all the cells, released all the inmates, and started one major riot, and maybe even took over the cell house. Never seen an inmate get that close to taking over a cell house the whole time I was there. So, if that's rough, tough, and strong, then that was the definition. Now, if you like this video, don't be an ass, hit the like button down there, and, you know, would it kill you to subscribe? And for those of you that want to know, yes, this is my new house going up in a small banana republic in South America. So, figure out where it's at and come on down and visit. I'll buy the soda pop.